In a faraway galaxy, there was a massive school called the Starbound Institute. It wasn't like any ordinary school on Earth. It was a place where beings from many different planets came to train as warriors and leaders. The students were not just humans. They were aliens with strange shapes, colors, and abilities. Some had scales that shimmered like jewels, others had wings that glowed in the dark, and some even had more than 2 arms or legs. Among all these extraordinary creatures, one person stood out, not because he was amazing, but because he seemed so ordinary. His name was Alex Carter. He was human, which already made him rare at the Institute. Humans weren't considered strong compared to most alien species. They didn't have super strength like the reptilian warriors or lightning-fast reflexes like the insectoids. But Alex wasn't just an average human. He was below average. At least that's what everyone thought. During physical tests, he always finished last. In combat drills, he stumbled over his own feet. And when it came time for strategy games, his plans often fell apart before they even began. The other cadets noticed this right away. Rachel O'Connor, a tall Andorian girl with shining blue skin, never missed a chance to make fun of him. "You're wasting oxygen," she said once after Alex tripped during a sparring match. Everyone around her laughed, including Ethan Blake, another top-ranked cadet. Ethan was known for being fast and ruthless, and he loved showing off how much better he was than Alex. "If you can't keep up, maybe you should go back to your little mudball planet," Ethan added with a smirk. Alex didn't say anything. He simply got up, brushed himself off, and kept going. Inside, though, the words stung. He knew he wasn't as strong or as quick as the others. He couldn't fly, shoot energy beams from his hands, or regenerate wounds like some of the aliens could. But Alex had something no one else seemed to notice: determination. While the other cadets celebrated their victories or complained about minor setbacks, Alex spent every spare moment trying to improve. He studied combat manuals late into the night, practiced footwork in empty hallways, and ran extra laps around the training grounds when no one was watching. One day, during a class on advanced weaponry, the instructor asked each student to demonstrate their aim with a plasma rifle. Most of the cadets hit their targets easily. Zarnok, a hulking lizard-like warrior, shattered 3 targets with a single shot. Veskara, a tiny insectoid with 6 limbs, fired so quickly that her bullets looked like streaks of light. Then it was Alex's turn. He stepped up to the firing line, took a deep breath, and pulled the trigger. The first shot missed completely. So did the second. By the third attempt, whispers filled the room. "Maybe he should stick to throwing rocks," someone joked. Laughter erupted again, louder this time. Even the instructor shook his head slightly, jotting something down on his clipboard. Alex lowered the rifle and walked back to his seat without saying a word. His face felt hot, but he refused to let anyone see how embarrassed he was. Later that evening, Alex sat alone in the library, flipping through pages of tactical guides. He knew he couldn't compete with the aliens' natural advantages, but he believed there had to be another way. Maybe he could find strategies that relied less on brute force and more on clever thinking. As he read, a shadow fell across the table. Looking up, he saw Commander Laura Hayes standing there. She was one of the senior officers at the Institute, known for her strictness and sharp eye for detail. "Cadet Carter," she said, her voice firm but not unkind. "May I sit?" Alex nodded, surprised. Officers rarely spoke to low-ranking cadets unless they were giving orders or reprimands. He watched nervously as Commander Hayes pulled out a chair and sat down. For a moment she didn't say anything, just studied him with piercing gray eyes. Finally she spoke. "I've been observing you," she said. "You're not doing well in the rankings, yet you continue to push yourself. Why is that?" Alex hesitated. He hadn't expected such a direct question. I want to prove I belong here," he admitted quietly. "I know I'm not as strong or as fast as the others, but I think I can still contribute. I just need to figure out how." Commander Hayes nodded slowly. "Determination is important," she said. "But so is strategy. Strength isn't always measured by speed or power. Sometimes it's about knowing when to act and when to wait." She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small data chip. This contains recordings of past battles fought by some of our greatest commanders. Study them carefully. You might learn something useful. With that, she stood up and left, leaving Alex staring at the chip in his hand. For the first time since arriving at the Institute, he felt a spark of hope. Maybe he couldn't change who he was, but perhaps he could use his weaknesses to his advantage. That night, instead of sleeping, Alex plugged the chip into his personal console and began watching. What he saw amazed him. The battles weren't won by sheer force alone. Often victory came from unexpected moves, using terrain to trap enemies, feigning retreats to lure opponents into ambushes, or exploiting moments of hesitation. Each clip showed a commander thinking several steps ahead, anticipating the enemy's actions and turning their strengths against them. Alex realized these were skills he could develop, regardless of his physical limitations. Over the next few weeks, Alex threw himself into learning everything he could from the recordings. He started experimenting with new techniques during training sessions, testing ideas that others dismissed as too risky or impractical. When sparring with Rachel, he deliberately allowed her to corner him, then used her momentum against her to flip her onto the mat. During obstacle courses, he avoided head-on collisions with stronger competitors, slipping past them unnoticed while they wasted energy fighting each other. Not everyone noticed the changes. Ethan still mocked him whenever possible, and Rachel rolled her eyes whenever Alex tried something unconventional. But a few people did take note. Mia Torres, a quiet cadet who rarely spoke during group discussions, approached him one afternoon after a particularly grueling endurance run. "You're getting better," she said softly. "I've seen how you handle situations differently. It's smart." Alex smiled, grateful for the compliment. "Thanks, Mia. I've just been trying to adapt. If I can't win by being stronger, maybe I can win by being smarter." Mia nodded. "Keep it up. People will start noticing soon enough." As the days turned into weeks, Alex continued refining his approach. He wasn't perfect. In fact, he still failed more often than he succeeded, but he was improving. Slowly, very slowly, the laughter began to fade. Not entirely, of course. There would always be those who doubted him. But Alex didn't care anymore. He had found his path, and he intended to follow it no matter what. Little did he know, his journey was only beginning. The next big event at the Starbound Institute was something all cadets dreaded but couldn't ignore: the Gauntlet. It was a high-stakes training exercise designed to push cadets to their limits. The goal was simple: survive as long as possible, while fighting off waves of enemy drones controlled by artificial intelligence. But surviving wasn't easy. The simulation took place in a vast, dangerous environment filled with cliffs, rivers, and forests, all created to test every aspect of a cadet's abilities: speed, strength, strategy, teamwork. It all mattered. When the announcement came that the Gauntlet would happen the following week, the entire academy buzzed with excitement. For most cadets, it was a chance to show off their skills. Zarnok, the towering reptilian warrior, flexed his muscles and boasted about how many drones he'd crush with his bare hands. Veskera, the insectoid tactician, calmly calculated the best routes to avoid danger entirely. Even Ethan Blake grinned confidently, eager to prove once again why he was one of the top-ranked cadets. But for Alex Carter, the news brought a mix of emotions. On one hand, he knew this was an opportunity to prove himself, to show everyone that he wasn't just some clumsy human who stumbled through drills. On the other hand, he couldn't shake the feeling of dread creeping into his mind. What if he failed? What if he let his team down? The thought of facing those merciless drones, and worse, the mocking laughter of his peers afterward, was almost too much to bear. Still, Alex refused to give up before he even started. He spent the days leading up to the Gauntlet reviewing everything he'd learned from Commander Hayes' battle recordings. He practiced quick decision-making, memorized maps of the simulated terrain, and even tried out new ways to use objects around him as tools or weapons. Every night he replayed scenarios in his head, imagining how he might react if cornered or outnumbered. It wasn't perfect preparation, but it gave him a sliver of confidence. Finally, The day arrived. Cadets gathered in the assembly hall, where instructors briefed them on the rules. Teams of 5 would enter the simulation together, each responsible for supporting one another. Points would be awarded based on how long they survived and how many drones they destroyed. Failure meant elimination, not just from the exercise but potentially from consideration for leadership roles in the future. Alex scanned the room nervously, wondering who his teammates would be. To his relief, Mia Torres caught his eye and gave him a small nod. At least he wouldn't be completely alone. When the teams were announced, Alex found himself grouped with Mia, Ethan Blake, Rachel O'Connor, and another cadet named Liam Drake, a quiet but physically imposing alien with shimmering silver skin. As they suited up in protective gear and prepared to enter the simulation chamber, Ethan wasted no time asserting dominance. "Listen up," he said, glaring at Alex. "We don't have time for mistakes today. Stick to the plan and stay out of our way." Rachel smirked, clearly agreeing, while Liam remained silent, his expression unreadable. Only Mia offered a reassuring glance, silently telling Alex to ignore Ethan's harsh words. The simulation began with a loud hum, as the walls dissolved into a dense forest. Tall trees surrounded them, their branches casting eerie shadows on the ground. Almost immediately, the sound of buzzing filled the air. Drones emerged from the trees, sleek and metallic, their red eyes glowing ominously. They moved fast, faster than anyone had anticipated. "Spread out," Ethan shouted, charging forward with reckless abandon. Rachel followed close behind, her movements graceful yet deadly. Liam lumbered ahead, using his massive frame to shield the others momentarily. Meanwhile, Alex hung back, scanning the area for opportunities. He noticed something the others hadn't, a narrow path winding uphill, toward higher ground. "Mia, follow me," Alex called, motioning toward the trail. She hesitated for a split second before nodding and joining him. Together they sprinted up the slope, putting distance between themselves and the chaos below. From their vantage point, they could see the drones converging on Ethan, Rachel, and Liam, who were struggling to hold their own against the relentless assault. "We need to draw some of them away," Alex said, pointing to a cluster of boulders nearby. "If we can lure them here, we can trap them." Mia raised an eyebrow. "You sure about this?" "No," Alex admitted, "but it's worth a shot." Taking a deep breath, Alex grabbed a fallen branch and swung it against a tree trunk, creating a loud cracking noise. The drones turned instantly, their sensors locking onto the sound. Within seconds, several of them broke away from the main group and zoomed toward Alex and Mia. Heart pounding, Alex led them on a chaotic chase through the boulder field, zigzagging wildly to avoid being hit. When the drones finally caught up, Alex triggered his plan. He hurled the branch at a precariously balanced rock, causing it to tumble down and knock over several others. A cascade of stones blocked the drone's path, trapping them in a makeshift cage. Sparks flew as they tried to escape, but the rocks held firm. "That was insane," Mia said, panting. "And brilliant." Down below, Ethan, Rachel, and Liam had managed to regroup and take down the remaining drones. When they looked up and saw what Alex and Mia had done, their expressions shifted from annoyance to surprise, and maybe even a hint of respect. For the next hour, the team worked together more effectively, combining Alex's creative tactics with Ethan's raw power and Rachel's precision. They cleared wave after wave of drones, earning points and staying alive far longer than anyone expected. By the time the simulation ended, they were exhausted but victorious. Back in the debriefing room, Commander Hayes reviewed the results. Everyone leaned forward eagerly as she displayed the final scores on a large screen. To everyone's shock, Alex had earned the highest individual score, not just for his team but for the entire exercise. His ability to adapt, improvise, and turn the environment to his advantage had made all the difference. "Well done, Cadet Carter," Commander Hayes said, her tone approving. "It seems you've discovered your unique strength." Ethan scowled, clearly unhappy about being overshadowed. Rachel crossed her arms, muttering under her breath, but Mia smiled proudly, clapping Alex on the shoulder. For the first time since arriving at the Institute, Alex felt a sense of accomplishment that couldn't be taken away. Word of Alex's performance spread quickly throughout the academy. Some cadets dismissed it as luck, while others grudgingly acknowledged his skill. But no matter what anyone said, Alex knew one thing for certain. The gauntlet had changed everything. He wasn't just the underdog anymore. He was someone to watch. And deep down, he wondered if maybe, just maybe, he could keep surprising them all. Over the following days, Alex continued to build on his success. He refined the strategies he'd used during the gauntlet, experimenting with new ideas and pushing himself harder than ever. He still faced challenges. There were moments when he doubted himself, times when others mocked him. But he kept moving forward, because now he had proof that he could succeed even in the toughest situations. Little did Alex know, his journey was far from over. Bigger tests awaited him, ones that would challenge not only his skills, but also his courage and resolve. But for now, he allowed himself a moment of pride. After all, proving doubters wrong wasn't just satisfying, it was empowering, and Alex Carter was ready to embrace whatever came next. The aftermath of the gauntlet brought a strange mix of reactions throughout the Starbound Institute. Some cadets, like Ethan Blake and Rachel O'Connor, refused to believe Alex Carter's success was anything more than a fluke. Others, however, began to take notice. Whispers followed Alex down the hallways. "Did you see what he did?" one cadet asked another during breakfast. "He trapped those drones like it was nothing." Even Zarnok, the towering reptilian warrior who rarely paid attention to anyone outside his species, gave Alex a curious glance during combat drills. But not all the attention was positive. A few cadets accused Alex of cheating, claiming there was no way a human could outperform aliens with superior strength and reflexes. Ethan led this charge, loudly proclaiming that Alex must have tampered with the simulation somehow. "It's impossible," Ethan said during a group discussion in strategy class. "Humans don't think that fast. They're too slow, too weak." Alex stayed quiet, letting the accusations roll off him. He knew better than to argue with people determined to find fault. Instead, he focused on improving himself, spending extra hours in the simulators and studying advanced tactics late into the night. If people wanted to doubt him, fine. He'd rather prove them wrong through actions than waste time defending himself. Commander Hayes, meanwhile, kept a close eye on Alex. She had seen potential in him long before the gauntlet, but now she was even more intrigued. During one-on-one sessions, she pushed him harder than ever, assigning tasks designed to test his adaptability and creativity. In one exercise, she placed him in a zero-gravity environment and challenged him to disable multiple targets without using traditional weapons. Alex struggled at first, bumping into walls and floating helplessly. But by the end of the session, he had figured out how to use air currents and magnetic fields to his advantage, earning praise from Commander Hayes. "You're learning to think differently," she told him afterward. "That's rare in a soldier, and valuable." Despite the growing respect from some quarters, Alex still faced hostility from others. One evening, as he left the training grounds, Ethan confronted him near the barracks. "I don't care what your little tricks are, Carter," Ethan growled, stepping closer. "When we face real combat, you'll fold. You won't have fancy simulations or hidden plans to save you then." Alex met Ethan's glare calmly. "We'll see," he said simply, brushing past him without another word. He didn't need to explain himself to someone who wouldn't listen, anyway. A few days later, an announcement came over the intercom calling all cadets to the assembly hall. When Alex arrived, he found the room buzzing with nervous energy. Something big was happening, something beyond routine training exercises. Commander Hayes stood at the front of the room, her expression serious. Beside her was Captain Norris, a grizzled veteran known for leading dangerous missions across the galaxy. "Cadets," Commander Hayes began, silencing the chatter with her sharp tone. "We've received reports of pirate activity near Federation space. Civilian transports are under attack and reinforcements are spread thin. Your task is to assist in defending these ships until proper military forces arrive." The room erupted into murmurs. This wasn't a drill. It was real combat. For many cadets, it would be their first taste of live-action fighting. Some looked excited, others looked terrified. Alex felt a mix of both. He knew he was ready, but the thought of facing actual enemies sent a chill down his spine. Captain Norris stepped forward, his voice gravelly and commanding. "This is not a game. These pirates are ruthless and well-armed. You will follow orders, work as a team, and stay alive. Failure is not an option." The cadets were divided into squads, each assigned to a specific transport ship. Alex ended up in a group with Mia Torres, Ethan Blake, Rachel O'Connor, and Liam Drake, the same team from the Gauntlet. As they boarded the shuttle heading toward the conflict zone, tension crackled in the air. Ethan made it clear he intended to lead, ignoring Alex entirely. Rachel rolled her eyes whenever Alex suggested a plan. Only Mia offered any support, quietly, reminding everyone to stay focused. When they reached the transport ship, a battered freighter carrying families fleeing a war-torn planet, they quickly realized the situation was worse than expected. Pirates had already breached the hull, and explosions rocked the vessel as smoke filled the corridors. The cadets split into pairs to cover more ground, with Ethan taking charge and ordering Alex to guard the rear. As they moved deeper into the ship, chaos unfolded. Pirates ambushed them at every turn, firing laser rifles and throwing grenades. Ethan and Rachel fought fiercely, using brute force and precision to take down enemies. Liam used his massive frame to shield the group from debris, while Mia provided covering fire with steady aim. Alex, positioned at the back, scanned the area constantly, looking for ways to turn the tide. At one point, the group found themselves cornered in a narrow hallway. Pirates closed in from both sides, trapping them. Ethan cursed under his breath, raising his weapon to fight until the end. But Alex noticed something. A vent above their heads connected to the ship's ventilation system. It was risky, but it might work. "Follow me," Alex shouted, grabbing a nearby pipe and smashing it against the vent cover. The metal clanged loudly, drawing the pirates' attention. While they focused their fire on him, Alex climbed into the vent and motioned for the others to follow. One by one, they crawled through the tight space, emerging in a safer section of the ship. "Are you crazy?" Ethan snapped once they were clear. "That was reckless." "It worked, didn't it?" Alex replied evenly. Before Ethan could respond, another wave of pirates appeared, forcing the group to scatter again. This time Alex took the initiative, directing his teammates to set up ambush points using crates and fallen beams. When the pirates charged in blindly, they walked right into a trap. Blasts echoed through the corridor as the cadets picked off their attackers with ease. By the time reinforcements finally arrived, the battle was nearly over. The cadets had managed to secure the ship and protect the civilians on board. Smoke lingered in the air, and the smell of burnt metal filled their nostrils. But they had survived. As medics tended to the wounded and engineers repaired the damage, Captain Norris approached the group. "Impressive work," he said, nodding at each of them. His gaze lingered on Alex. "Especially you, Cadet Carter. Using the environment to your advantage, that's smart thinking." Ethan scowled, clearly unhappy about the compliment. Rachel looked away, while Liam gave Alex a grudging nod. Mia smiled proudly, patting him on the shoulder. For the first time since joining the Institute, Alex felt truly accepted, not because he had proven his doubters wrong, but because he had earned their respect. Back at the academy, news of the mission spread quickly. Videos of the battle showed Alex calmly directing his team, dodging lethal blasts and dismantling entire squads of pirates single-handedly. Even Ethan and Rachel couldn't deny his skill anymore. "I underestimated you," Ethan admitted begrudgingly. "Guess brains can beat brawn sometimes." Commander Hayes officially promoted Alex to squad leader, acknowledging his leadership abilities alongside his tactical genius. More importantly, she revealed why she'd kept tabs on him all along. "You remind me of myself when I was your age," she said. "Never stop questioning the rules. They're there to guide you, not limit you." Though proud of his achievements, Alex remained humble. He thanked Mia for believing in him and promised to help other struggling cadets find their strengths. Together, they formed a tight-knit support network within the Institute, proving that teamwork mattered as much as individual talent. As weeks turned into months, Alex continued to push himself, always seeking new ways to improve. He knew challenges lay ahead, ones that would test him in ways he couldn't yet imagine. But for now, he allowed himself to savor the moment. After all, proving doubters wrong wasn't just satisfying, it was empowering. And Alex Carter was ready to embrace whatever came next. The days following the transport ship mission were a whirlwind for Alex Carter. News of his leadership and tactical brilliance spread like wildfire across the Starbound Institute. Videos of the battle played on screens in every common area, showing how Alex had turned the tide against overwhelming odds. Cadets who once laughed at him now watched those clips with wide eyes, whispering to each other about the human who outsmarted pirates. Even instructors began to treat him differently, nodding respectfully when he entered a room or asking for his input during strategy discussions. But fame wasn't something Alex craved. He stayed focused, knowing that one victory didn't define him. If anything, it only raised the stakes. People expected more from him now, and not just his peers. Commander Hayes assigned Alex to lead increasingly difficult missions, testing whether his earlier success was repeatable. Each challenge pushed him further outside his comfort zone, forcing him to adapt quickly and think even more creatively. One such mission came sooner than expected. The Academy received an urgent request from a nearby research outpost located on a remote moon. Scientists there had discovered traces of an ancient alien artifact buried deep beneath the surface, but their excavation efforts had awakened something dangerous. Swarms of mechanical drones left behind by a long-extinct civilization. These drones were unlike anything the cadets had faced before. They moved silently, blended into their surroundings, and attacked without warning. Several researchers had already been injured, and the outpost's defenses were failing fast. Commander Hayes gathered a small team of cadets to assist in securing the area and evacuating the scientists. Once again, Alex found himself leading a group that included Mia Torres, Ethan Blake, Rachel O'Connor, and Liam Drake. As they boarded the shuttle bound for the moon, the tension between them was palpable. Ethan still struggled to accept Alex's promotion, while Rachel openly questioned whether he deserved it. Only Mia remained steadfastly supportive, offering quiet encouragement whenever Alex seemed unsure. When they arrived at the outpost, the situation was worse than anyone had anticipated. The facility was eerily quiet, its corridors dimly lit and littered with debris. Broken equipment lay scattered everywhere, evidence of the chaos caused by the drones. Scientists huddled together in fear, clutching makeshift weapons and looking, pale with exhaustion. One of them, a wiry man with glasses and trembling hands, approached Alex as soon as they stepped inside. "You have to help us," he pleaded. "They come out of nowhere, we can't fight them." Alex nodded calmly, though his heart raced. "We'll do what we can. Just tell us where you need us most." The scientist pointed toward a large chamber at the center of the outpost. "That's where we found the artifact. It must be triggering the drones somehow. If you can disable it, maybe the attacks will stop." With that information, Alex led his team deeper into the facility. From the start, things went poorly. The drones emerged suddenly, materializing from shadows and walls like ghosts. Their metallic bodies shimmered faintly before launching deadly attacks. Laser blasts filled the air, forcing the cadets to dive for cover. Ethan and Rachel fought valiantly, using brute force to hold off the machines, but their efforts weren't enough. The drones kept coming, relentless and unyielding. "Fall back," Alex shouted, spotting a narrow doorway ahead. He directed his team to retreat into a smaller room, sealing the entrance behind them. For a moment, they were safe, but only temporarily. The drones would find another way in soon. "We can't stay here forever," Rachel snapped, her voice sharp with frustration. "What's your brilliant plan this time?" Alex ignored her tone, focusing instead on the problem at hand. He scanned the room, taking note of its layout. It was cluttered with crates, tools, and exposed wiring running along the ceiling. An idea began to form in his mind, an idea so risky that it might get them all killed. But it was their best chance. "Listen carefully," Alex said, turning to face his team. "These drones are drawn to movement and sound. If we create enough noise in one part of the room, we can lure them away from the rest of us. Then, we'll use the wiring to overload the system and shut them down." Ethan scoffed. And what happens if your plan fails? We'll be trapped in here with no way out. It's better than sitting here waiting to die, Alex shot back. Do you have a better idea? For once, Ethan didn't argue. Reluctantly, the team agreed to follow Alex's plan. Working quickly, they gathered loose tools and pieces of metal, tossing them into a corner of the room. Alex used a plasma cutter to slice through the wiring above, creating sparks that sizzled loudly. The noise echoed through the chamber, drawing the attention of the drones almost immediately. They swarmed toward the source, leaving the rest of the room clear. Now! Alex yelled, signaling Liam to pull the wires apart completely. A surge of electricity coursed through the floor, frying the drone's circuits and rendering them useless. Sparks flew everywhere as the machines collapsed in heaps of smoking metal. The team stared in stunned silence, their breathing heavy from adrenaline. Even Ethan looked impressed, though he wouldn't admit it aloud. Not bad, Rachel muttered, grudgingly. But don't think this makes you perfect. Alex didn't respond. He was already moving toward the next challenge, the artifact itself. According to the scientists, disabling it was the key to stopping the drones permanently. The chamber containing the artifact was heavily guarded, both by surviving drones and automated turrets programmed to protect the relic. Getting close would require precision and teamwork. As they approached the chamber, Alex devised a new strategy. Using the same principles he'd employed earlier, he instructed his team to split up and draw the drone's attention away from the main entrance. While Ethan and Rachel created diversions, Alex, Mia, and Liam slipped inside unnoticed. The artifact loomed before them, pulsating with an eerie blue light. Strange symbols etched into its surface glowed faintly, casting shadows on the walls. This thing is creepy, Liam said, eyeing the artifact warily. How do we turn it off? Alex examined the control panel nearby, searching for a way to deactivate the device. It was unlike any technology he'd seen before, but he recognized patterns in the design, a language written in shapes and sequences. Slowly, carefully, he began entering commands based on his observations. Lights flickered, and the hum emanating from the artifact grew louder. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the chamber. Reinforcements poured in, surrounding the trio. Alex cursed under his breath, realizing they'd triggered some kind of security protocol. "Mia, Liam, cover me!" he shouted, frantically working to finish the sequence. Blasts ricocheted around, them as Mia and Liam fired back, shielding Alex from harm. Finally, with a triumphant beep, the artifact powered down. The drones froze mid-motion, their systems shutting off completely. Silence fell over the chamber, broken only by the sound of heavy breathing. Alex slumped against the control panel, relief washing over him. "Well," Mia said with a grin, lowering her weapon. "I guess that worked." Outside, Ethan and Rachel joined them, looking battered but alive. Together, they escorted the remaining scientists to safety, ensuring everyone made it onto the evacuation shuttles. As they lifted off from the moon's surface, the outpost disappeared behind them, swallowed by darkness. Back at the Institute, Commander Hayes reviewed footage of the mission, nodding approvingly. "You've done well, Cadet Carter," she said. "Your ability to adapt and lead under pressure has saved lives today." Though proud of his accomplishments, Alex knew the road ahead would be long. Fame brought challenges of its own, jealousy, rivalry, and higher expectations. But he also knew he couldn't let fear hold him back. Every test, every battle, brought him closer to proving that humans could stand shoulder to shoulder with aliens in the stars. For now, Alex allowed himself a moment of pride. After all, proving doubters wrong wasn't just satisfying, it was empowering. And Alex Carter was ready to embrace whatever came next. The months that followed Alex Carter's success at the research outpost were a blur of activity. Word of his leadership and ingenuity spread far beyond the walls of the Starbound Institute. News outlets across the galaxy highlighted his achievements, calling him the human who rewrote the rules of combat. Cadets from other academies began studying his tactics, hoping to replicate his success. Even some alien dignitaries visiting Earth mentioned Alex's name in diplomatic discussions, praising humanity's potential. But fame didn't sit well with Alex. He wasn't interested in accolades or recognition. What mattered most to him was improving himself and helping others succeed. Despite the growing attention, he remained humble, often deflecting praise onto his teammates. "I couldn't have done any of it without them," he said during one interview. "It's not about being the best, it's about working together." Still, there was no denying the impact Alex had made. His peers, once quick to mock him, now looked up to him as a leader. Ethan Blake, though still competitive, stopped questioning Alex's abilities in public. Rachel O'Connor softened slightly, occasionally offering advice during training sessions instead of criticism. Even Liam Drake, who rarely spoke, gave Alex quiet nods of approval after particularly challenging exercises. Mia Torres continued to be his strongest supporter, often reminding him to take pride in how far he'd come. Commander Hayes, recognizing Alex's growth, decided to push him even further. She assigned him to mentor younger cadets struggling to adapt to the Academy's rigorous demands. At first, Alex hesitated. Teaching wasn't something he felt comfortable with. He worried about saying the wrong thing or failing to inspire confidence. But Commander Hayes reassured him. "You've been where they are," she said. "Sometimes all someone needs is proof that it's possible to overcome obstacles." Alex took the role seriously, spending hours each week guiding inexperienced recruits through drills and simulations. He shared stories of his own failures, emphasizing that setbacks weren't permanent but opportunities to learn. One young cadet, a shy human girl named Sophie, struggled with hand-to-hand combat because she lacked strength compared to her opponents. Alex showed her how to use agility and timing to outmaneuver larger foes. Another recruit, an insectoid, named Crean, had trouble adapting to unpredictable scenarios. Alex encouraged him to embrace chaos, teaching him how to think several steps ahead. Seeing these cadets grow under his guidance filled Alex with a sense of purpose. For the first time, he realized his journey wasn't just about proving himself. It was about inspiring others to believe in their own potential. As Alex settled into his new responsibilities, the Academy prepared for its annual intergalactic competition. Known as the Nexus Challenge, it brought together top cadets from across the galaxy to compete in a series of grueling trials. The event was more than just a test of skill. It was a chance for institutions to showcase their finest warriors. Winning meant earning prestige not only for the cadets but also for their schools. When Alex learned he'd been selected to represent the Starbound Institute, he felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. This would be his biggest challenge yet. Facing off against elite cadets trained in advanced techniques and armed with cutting-edge technology. Many of them came from prestigious programs with centuries of tradition behind them. How could Alex, a human from a relatively unknown planet, possibly compete? Mia noticed his unease during one of their late-night study sessions. "You're overthinking again," she said, setting down her notes. "You've already proven you can handle anything they throw at you. Stop doubting yourself." Alex sighed, rubbing his temples. "It's not just about me this time. If I fail, it reflects poorly on everyone here. The Academy, Commander Hayes, even the human race. And if you succeed," Mia countered, "think about what that means. You'll show the entire galaxy what humans are capable of." Her words stuck with him. Over the next few weeks, Alex threw himself into preparation, combining physical conditioning with mental strategy. He reviewed recordings of past Nexus challenges, analyzing the winners' techniques and identifying patterns. He practiced adapting to unexpected changes, forcing himself to stay calm under pressure. Slowly, his confidence grew. The day of the ER competition arrived and cadets from dozens of species gathered in a massive arena, surrounded by towering screens broadcasting live footage to millions of viewers. Flags representing each institution fluttered in the wind, and cheers erupted as teams marched onto the field. Alex stood tall alongside his teammates, Ethan, Rachel, Mia, and Liam, each wearing the Starbound Institute's emblem proudly. The first trial tested endurance. Cadets raced through a sprawling obstacle course filled with hazards designed to drain their energy and test their resolve. Zarnok, who represented another academy, dominated early on, using his brute strength to smashed through barriers. Vescara, the insectoid tactician, zipped past competitors with incredible speed. Meanwhile, Alex focused on conserving his energy, choosing efficient paths, and avoiding unnecessary risks. By the end of the trial, he finished second overall, a surprising result that drew murmurs of approval from the crowd. The second trial was a simulated battle against AI-controlled enemies. Teams worked together to defend key positions while eliminating waves of attackers. Here, Alex's creativity shone brightest. He directed his team to use environmental traps and ambush points, turning the tide against overwhelming odds. The final score was tallied. The Starbound Institute ranked highest thanks in large part to Alex's leadership. But the real test came during the third and final trial, a free-for-all combat simulation. Cadets faced off individually, relying solely on their skills to survive. Matches were brutal, with each round eliminating weaker competitors until only a handful remained. Alex found himself pitted against a towering avian warrior named Kale. Renowned for his razor-sharp talons and lightning-fast reflexes, the arena buzzed with anticipation as the two circled each other. Kale lunged first, swiping with claws that gleamed in the light. Alex dodged narrowly, rolling to avoid a follow-up strike. He knew he couldn't match Kale's speed or power, so he relied on his greatest strength, unpredictability. Using feints and misdirections, Alex forced Kale to waste energy chasing shadows. When the avian warrior finally faltered, Alex seized the opportunity, delivering a precise strike that ended the match. Cheers erupted as Alex emerged victorious, securing the championship for the Starbound Institute. Tears welled in his eyes as he accepted the trophy, knowing how much this moment meant, not just for him but for everyone who had doubted him along the way. After the competition, life at the academy changed dramatically. Cadets from rival schools approached Alex asking for tips or simply expressing admiration. Instructors treated him like a celebrity, inviting him to speak at conferences and workshops. Even Ethan Blake extended a begrudging handshake, acknowledging Alex's skill. Through it all, Alex stayed grounded, focusing on finishing his training and preparing for life beyond the academy. Commander Hayes reminded him that true greatness wasn't measured by trophies or titles, but by the legacy one left behind. "You've shown the galaxy what humans can achieve," she said. "Now it's your job to carry that torch forward." Graduation day arrived sooner than expected. As Alex stood before his classmates receiving his commission as an officer, he reflected on how far he'd come. From being laughed at to leading armies, he'd proven doubters wrong without seeking revenge. His journey wasn't built on hatred or arrogance, but on perseverance and creativity. And somewhere deep inside, he knew those early struggles had shaped him into the leader he became. Because sometimes laughter is the best fuel for proving people wrong. Years passed since Alex Carter graduated from the Starbound Institute, but his name remained a legend. Stories of his achievements inspired countless recruits across the galaxy, showing them that greatness wasn't defined by size, speed, or species, but by heart and ingenuity. His journey had become a symbol of hope for humans and other underrepresented groups in the intergalactic community. After graduation, Alex was assigned to serve aboard the starship Eclipse, a sleek vessel tasked with patrolling the edges of Federation space. The ship was home to a diverse crew of soldiers, engineers, scientists, and diplomats, all working together to maintain peace in an increasingly volatile region. For Alex, this new chapter brought both challenges and opportunities. While he was no longer a cadet struggling to prove himself, the weight of leadership rested heavily on his shoulders. The first few months aboard the Eclipse were tough. Many senior officers doubted whether a human could handle the responsibilities of command, especially in such a high-stakes environment. Some whispered behind closed doors, questioning if Alex's success at the academy had been a fluke. Others openly challenged his authority, testing his resolve during critical missions. But Alex didn't let their skepticism discourage him. He approached every task with the same determination that had carried him through his early days at the Institute. One of his first major assignments came when the Eclipse received distress signals from a remote colony planet under attack by hostile forces. Pirates, more ruthless than any Alex had faced before, had blockaded the planet, cutting off supplies and threatening its inhabitants. The situation was dire, and time was running out. When Alex stepped onto the bridge, Captain Norris, a grizzled veteran who had once led the mission to rescue the transport ship, gave him a hard look. "This is your chance to show us what you're made of, Carter," the captain said. "Don't disappoint me." Alex nodded, feeling the familiar mix of nerves and excitement. He gathered his team and studied the data carefully, looking for weaknesses in the pirates' strategy. From what they could gather, the enemy ships were fast and agile, relying on hit-and-run tactics to overwhelm their opponents. Traditional methods wouldn't work here. They needed something unexpected. Drawing inspiration from his past victories, Alex devised a daring plan. Instead of engaging the pirates head-on, he proposed using decoys to lure them into a trap. By deploying unmanned drones equipped with fake weapon signatures, they could create the illusion of a larger fleet approaching from multiple angles. Once the pirates split their forces to investigate, the Eclipse would strike swiftly, targeting their command ship and disabling their communications. It was risky, but the crew trusted Alex enough to follow his lead. As the operation unfolded, everything went according to plan. The pirates fell for the ruse, scattering their fleet and leaving their flagship vulnerable. With precise coordination, the Eclipse launched a concentrated assault, crippling the enemy's ability to fight back. Within hours, the blockade was broken, and the colony was saved. When news of the victory reached Federation headquarters, Alex earned widespread praise. Even those who had doubted him began to see his worth. Captain Norris clapped him on the shoulder, offering rare words of approval. "You've got guts, kid," he said. "Keep it up, and you'll go far." As the years went by, Alex continued to distinguish himself as a leader and tactician. He led his crew through countless missions, each one more challenging than the last. Whether it was negotiating peace treaties with warring factions or defending innocent civilians from marauders, Alex proved time and again that creativity and teamwork could overcome even the toughest odds. But his greatest challenge came when the galaxy faced a threat unlike anything seen before. A mysterious alien race known as the Vork emerged from deep space, intent on conquering every inhabited world in their path. Their technology was advanced, their warriors fearless, and their motives unclear. Entire planets fell under their control within weeks, and panic spread throughout the Federation. The Eclipse was called to join a coalition fleet tasked with stopping the Vork advance. As the battle lines formed, Alex knew this would be the ultimate test, not just of his skills, but of humanity's place in the galaxy. If they failed, Earth itself might be next on the Vork's list. During a tense briefing, Admiral Hayes, the same commander who had mentored Alex during his academy days, addressed the assembled captains. "We are outnumbered and outgunned," she admitted. "But we have something the Vork don't: unity. Together we stand a chance." Alex took those words to heart. When the battle began, he coordinated closely with other ships, sharing intelligence and adapting strategies on the fly. The Vork relied on overwhelming force, but Alex exploited their predictability, using feints and ambushes to disrupt their formations. In one pivotal moment, he ordered the Eclipse to perform a dangerous maneuver, flying directly into the heart of the enemy fleet to disable a key command vessel. It was a gamble that paid off, turning the tide of the battle in favor of the coalition. By the time the dust settled, the Vork had been pushed back, their invasion halted for the first time. Though the war was far from over, the victory boosted morale across the galaxy. Humanity's role in the coalition became undeniable, earning respect from allies who had once dismissed them as weak. In the aftermath of the battle, Alex returned to Earth for the first time in years. The planet had changed since he'd left. It was brighter, busier, and prouder. People lined the streets to welcome him home, cheering as he walked among them. Children waved flags bearing the image of the Eclipse, while reporters shouted questions about his experiences in space. For a moment, Alex felt overwhelmed. He had never sought fame, yet here he was, standing as a symbol of hope for billions that, Evening, he visited the Starbound Institute where it all began. Cadet stared in awe as he toured the grounds, pointing out landmarks from his own training days. In the assembly hall, Commander Hayes introduced him to a new generation of recruits. "This man has shown us that limits are meant to be broken," she said. "Let his story remind you that greatness comes not from power, but from perseverance." Alex spoke briefly, sharing lessons learned along the way. "I'm not special," he told them. "I'm just someone who refused to give up. If I can do it, so can you." Later, walking alone through the quiet halls of the academy, Alex reflected on his journey. From being laughed at to leading armies, he had come full circle. His legacy wasn't built on hatred or arrogance, but on resilience and innovation. And though the road ahead would always be uncertain, he knew one thing for sure: humanity's potential was limitless. As he gazed out at the stars twinkling in the night sky, Alex smiled. Somewhere out there were new challenges waiting to be faced, new battles to be fought, and new lives to be saved. Whatever the future held, Alex Carter was ready, because sometimes laughter is the best fuel for proving people wrong, and Alex had turned that laughter into triumph.